Welcome back. In this video, we are continuing the process of creating this navbar, and this is where we left in the previous video. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can lay out your content in the navbar, and two, I'm going to show you a new component called box component in Material UI, and also to show you how you can style your component. Alright, so quickly let's head over to the documentation and search for box component. And what it says that the box component serves as a wrapper for most of the CSS utility needs. So it simply means that if you want to use your custom CSS, you need to wrap your content inside a box component. And then the box component simply means that it's an HTML element, right? So for the box component, we can pass in a component, and inside the component, we can use any valid HTML tag like H1, H2, image, or video, right? So the way we are going to style the box component is using a prop called SX. So if you are coming from Material UI 4, you can see that we have an API called Make Style. So if you search for Make Styles, right? So let me quickly search for Make Style, right? So the Make Style API was using to style the component. So with the early version, we don't use it anymore. So in the upcoming version of Material UI, this one will not be used. So it's now deprecated. So we are going to use a modern way called SX. So if you search for SX prop, the SX prop is a shortcut for defining custom style that has access to the theme. So it means that if you use the XS prop, you can use the default theme styling inside your component, and you can also use your custom CSS as well. So I will talk about theming, but for now, let's focus on the SX prop. Alright, so let's quickly go to the XS prop and how it's being used. So if you look at this, let me scroll down here. Alright, let me talk about this one briefly. So you can see that for this XS prop here, they are accessing the default color called text.secondary, right? And then we also can add our font weight using normal CSS. So we can add or access to the default theme styling and add our custom styling to it. And the way we are going to lay out our content is to use Flexbox. So without much talking, let me show you how we are going to use the box component and then the SS prop to make this thing happen. So let's go to the application. Final one, we have 3 sections, and we're going to use the Flexbox for laying out as that. So quickly, let's import the box component. So the box component is not from the Material UI, it's from different source. So let's quickly do that. And I have the import above over here. Cool. So this toolbar is helping us to have the pattern and margin around that. So we are going to place everything inside this toolbar, right? So we have 3 sections. So I'm going to bring in the box component. So this one is for the icon. So I will cut this one, and then I want to have a box here. So this box, as I told you, that it can serve as a div or H1 or image. So if you want to change, or if you want to use the box component as a div, all what you need is provide a component, and then in here you place in any valid HTML tag. As you can see here, we have all the HTML tag we can use in this component. So what I need is called a div. So the div here is going to be the parent, right? So by default, the component is a div. So next one, I want to have 3 children, right? One here is going to be my logo. So let me call this one here logo. logo div. So by default, the box is a div, and then I will place my logo inside the icon button. So now I have one component being a wrapper, another one be the component, the div for the logo. So I also need to create, let me comment here, let me call this one links, and here also be a box, right? So here let's quickly bring in the typography, right, and just call this one home. So for now, and then the other one here, let me show you the last one here, gonna be the button, and then so I can copy this box component here and then paste it here and change this one to, let me call this one button links. Okay, cool. So let me just call this one button links. So when I save this, and let's see, now I have this, we have one here and two. So let me remove the H1 here, the variant. So this one is not going to be part of it. Right, cool. As you can see, we have three sections, right? We have the icon here, we have the home links here, and we have the button. So to lay out, all what we need is for the parent div, I'm going to use the SX prop, and this is how I'm going to use it, right? So bring in SX, and it's equal to an object, and in here we can use any valid CSS syntax. So here I'm going to use display to flex. As soon as I do that, let's see, you see that they are being aligned from left to right. That is the default. So if you want to spread them up, let's call this one justify content. Justify content is space between, right? Let's call this one space between. So when I save this one, okay, I think I have an error. It's not an object, sorry, it's a semicolon. Space between. If I save it, okay, there we go. It's not obeying that rule. And let me call this. So let's provide a width, okay, for the parent, because you need to have a width for that so that the children can be displayed accordingly. So let's call the width as 100%. 100%. So when I save it, now we have it being displayed like that. So all what we need is what? Just to, let me call this, they are all what? Typography, right? And I want to bring them more times. So instead of home, over here, typography, I want to wrap also in a div, right? Or better still, I can leave it as that. So let me bring this one as how many times here? Let me add 2 times, and let me call the first one is brand, right? The first one is brand. So when I save it, so next is I want to add more typography here. So let me add 3 times here, and let me call this, the first one is brand, and let me call this one categories for now. Let me save it. All right. So because these are inline blocks, it takes available space. So I want to also display this one as a flex. So for the parent of the links, I'm also going to pass in the SX prop and also display flex. If I do that, you can see that they have been spread out. All right. So for each of the typography, I'm going to add some class names to it and have some margin and padding. So for the first one of this typography, let me pass in the SX prop, and then for this one, let me give it a margin right as what? 20 pixels. Cool. And then let me give it a cursor as what? Pointer, so that when you put your mouse on it, you see that we have that cursor style. And let me give the color of the typography as #616161 and 6.1. Okay, when I save this one, there we go. I have some margin as that. So by the color, so I will change the background for now. So I'm going to copy the brand typography. How many times? Let me check it out. One, 2, 3, 4. The other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in all. And I have 1. So let me change this one to home. So I'm going to copy this one 6 times. So let me remove these ones. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I save it, check it out what we have. There we go. Alright, cool. So let me quickly remove the color as a secondary from the navbar, and I can provide SX prop here, and I will say the background color for now, let's give it as white. When I save it, there we go. So I want to have let them be laid down correctly, so I'll provide justify content align items here to the parent of this so that they be aligned correctly. So when I save this, alright, perfect, but this one is gone because the background is not as we expected. Okay, so next is let's change the names, right? So the names here, we have home category, we have next one as what, men, women, brand here, currently ask questions, FAQ. Alright, so when I save, alright, there we go. So let's work on the extreme right here, right? For now, don't worry about the responsiveness. So for the extreme left, I use button and some icon using badge. So let's quickly use the button component, and let's search for the button component. Sorry, it's uppercase button here. So if you have never used a button component before, let's quickly go to documentation and show you where we can find it. So for the button component, all what we need is just search for it, and then we have various variants. So all what we need is passing the prop. So like I showed you, to know all the props, we have the component here, and we come to the APIs, right? Or better still, scroll down and you see that extreme bottom here, we have the API for those. So if you click on that, we have all the APIs, give it a color of the button, the component, and other stuff. So you can read more about it. So let's scroll down here, and at the bottom here we have the links for the buttons. So here, instead of this one, I'm going to use the button component, and I will give it a title as an account, and it provide a variant determine the style of this button, and I like to use contain. So if you use outline, so based on the styling here, you can go by it. Alright, and you can also provide a style. Alright, you can also provide a style or the size of the button. Okay, cool. So next is, let's also go ahead and check it out again. Let's see what we have. Well, material, I cannot resolve the button. Let me save it again. Where is the problem? The button component. Cannot find React. Oh, I think the import is wrong. Oh yeah, sorry, I messed up with the import. So when I refresh it, I have it here, and I don't want the ripple or the shadow or the elevation, so I need to provide disable elevation to the button. So I got to know by going through all the props. So disable elevation. When I save it, now it's gone, and I want to give it a color for that. So next is, let's use the icon for this. So it's called a badge. So let's quickly go to the API documentation, and let's quickly search for badge, and based on it, how we're going to use it. You can see that we have basic one. So if it is what you want, all what I did was I changed the icon name, and that is it. So we copy this one, the badge component here, and let's come back here, and inside the parent of this links here, let's place the badge here, So let's require the badge component, all right, as that. And then I use the shopping icon here, but not the mail icon. So let's quickly go to the documentation and search for an icon. All right, so I want the material icon here. So let's search through the list of the icons here. And was it carts or shopping cart icon? Let me see what I use. Okay, was it shopping bag icon? Yeah, shopping basket. Yeah, so for this one, shopping basket. Yeah, this one. So let me copy the import and then bring it here. And then instead of the mail icon, I will change this one to shopping bag icon, and I can remove the color here. Cool. So when I save it, let's refresh the application and let's see. Oh, it's not a shopping as that. All right, so let's quickly see where the error is coming from. I need to provide, let's check and see, provide a color. I'm not sure why I have that icon here instead of. Okay, so let's check again if the import was not correct. Yes, of course, it's correct. So why are we having that? Cool. So let's go ahead and then fix that. So let's look at the badge. So the badge, oh, the badge is from Material UI components, right? So sorry, it came from different place. That is why we had it. Okay, perfect. We have it. So let's align this one perfectly, right? So let's go to the parent div here and see SX, and also remember we are going to use Flexbox, and then provide justify content to be center, justify content to be center, and let's provide align items also to be center. Okay, so here for the, let's provide a color for the icon. SX prop, sorry, I don't want to use the, so let me give this one color as what the color I use for the shopping icon button here. Icon here is, sorry, the button, I use a color called #FF4081. when I save, let's see, sorry, the background rather is background color, but not the color of the text on the button. Okay, cool, I have it. But for the icon button here, it's a badge here. When I click on that, I want to see the ripple effect. So I'm going to use an icon button to wrap that, right? So for this one, the reason why I want to use the icon button is I want to have that feature, like the ripple effect, okay? And then I'll place it inside the button, and that is it. So the badge 2, let's provide the color as primary color and the shopping as that. Okay, it's cool.